I said I would make a video on this, and guess what? I did. I have finally managed to finish it. Welcome to the fastest wither skeleton farm you would have ever seen. The fastest wither skeleton farm. But, without further ado, let's get into this farm and how it works. So this farm works so well because, well, it really just does work really well, to be honest. And we will actually go through all the rates and literally everything that would need to be happens for this farm to work as efficiently as it. And for right now, I'm actually not going to give away the rates of this thing. Not until we have completely finished the tick work that we are about to do. So, with the help of the carpet mod, we will be using a few commands to help us do this. We have Steve down there. He's testing wither skeletons, although I'm loading chunks that I probably shouldn't be. And we're gonna use this command called tick freeze. So, the game is now entirely frozen. And now we're able to actually look around this farm, see what goes on. And this is also helping to do our next thing, which is counter reset. These will reset these yellow counters we see at the bottom here that will collect all the drops. And by the way, for this farm you will need a massive storage system because items pour out of this thing like nobody's business. And then now we're able to tick unfreeze, and then we'll run tick for 3,600 ticks. Now the game is running as fast as it could. The things are empty, and it is now running. And what's really cool is that we built this in what's called a Sulsan Valley biome. This biome does not spawn a lot of mobs because of the new mechanics on how skeletons and gas spawn in the Sulsan Valley, which means all the mob spawns will go to our farm. And if the reason why that's happening is because of these striders down here. Wait, our counter has this, so now we'll see counter yellow. 11, 207 stars. That is because it usually is a backup. It's not a backup today. But those aren't the best rates that you can get. I think I know why. So you sometimes see down here, yeah, there's some extra wither skeletons, and they're not getting killed fast enough. That's the problem. But if we are to look around and turn on hitboxes, so we were a lot easier, we're able to do this. We're able to see the entire shape on which anything can pretty much spawn. And I have a theory onto where these extra spawns are, because those aren't the best rates, and I have an idea why. So obviously, with any looting 3-generated wither skeleton farm, you will obviously get different rates. And this time we didn't get a lot of wither skeleton skulls. Sometimes you can get, but on average, you can get around 400 wither skeleton skulls. Because if we are to reset that counter again and do another tick work, we might actually be able to see it. Might actually be able to see this. Although these two other skeletons, I'm not really sure how they spawned. Probably because they pathfinded out. And there's also something called pack spawning. But while that tick orb's running, let me tell you about the massive amount of striders here. All of these striders here actually help out with taking care of no other mob spawning. It actually doesn't do anything to it. Alright, let's see. Counter yellow. Wither skeleton skulls. 855. I don't know. It's weird. Of course it does this as soon as this, but let's talk about the spawning platforms. Alright, so the reason why this farm also works really well is because we are building this in what is called a crossroad. So those are the biggest structures in the entire area, and they look somewhat like this, except with like the area missed out, like on the outside area, which I'll talk about in a second. And with this setup, we have options for 3 layers. So 1, 2, and 3. How does that go away? And basically, then the wither skeletons will spawn up here, and it's the same for every layer. And you see these dogs here? Wither skeletons are afraid of dogs. And wither skeletons, as the 1.16 update, only spawn on wither roses now, which means you can technically have the super fast wither skeleton farm. Probably one of the fastest wither skeleton farms you've ever seen. So these dogs here, placed in strategic places, will allow the wither skeletons to run away and you go this way, where they'll eventually get attracted by this piglin. And this piglins, they do not like wither skeletons, so they try to attack it. Of course they can't, so they'll just fall down the tube. Same thing for every single floor. And flow down into this area where they'll get pushed into a 2x2 chamber for you to kill them and for their drops to be. That's pretty much the farm itself. And now let's talk about this extra area around back. So, with the farm running as so it is, there's something called pack spawning, which I discussed in a previous video of mine, specifically the Enderman farm. If you guys would like to check that out, check the link in the description, or just check out that farm itself. But basically, pack spawning means that when Minecraft tries to spawn a mob, it tries to spawn a pack around it, and it's usually 4. And sometimes that pack can spawn outside of our farm, but we want the spawn to be inside our farm. So what we then do is we then remove 8 blocks, that's right, 8 blocks out from the wither skeleton farm to receive the maximum amount of the wraiths needed for this farm. However, this farm is best built when you have an entire area cleared, because I would also suggest to remove all the area up here, up to bedrock, and that will also help your farm out with the wraiths as well, because there's less space for the game to try to spawn mobs, like we will see in a second in my test world, where I tested this out myself. And basically, those 8 blocks will allow for most of the spawns to spawn in there, which helps the farm improve the rates, and once again they'll get scared by the dogs and run towards the piglin and get killed. Here we are on the actual test world that I built this in, and we have Steve down there killing all the mobs off, and once again I'm probably taking up the mob cap, so this farm's supposed to be slightly decreased until we go into spectator mode. But it's pretty much the same concept, to be honest. The same area we have down here, slightly different storage system because we're in different areas. Still also in a soul sand valley, and there's still a bunch of mobs coming in here, but the main difference is that there's nothing around here. So run the command counter reset and tick warp 3600. We're able to see this thing's full tick rate. And once again, dogs get scared, they flow to the center, they do not like piglins, they flow to the bottom and get killed. But the main difference, we also have some command blocks over here to help us basically disintegrate the mobs. Alright. And we're also need to watch out for this, because sometimes, yeah, this thing can have like a massive storage system. Probably, so just flip this lever right here. False. Set that to false. And now we won't have to deal with anything. And once these things get red, I'll let you guys know. Let's see what this does. 46, 283 skulls. So it's a little bit different. That's just because we just did a little bit rate. Yeah, so the rates are decreased depending on your level of difficulty, because that's kind of what different farms are like. So our next part has to do with this structure bounding box's main. And to do this, so we're not interrupted at all, we're actually going to kill Steve. Nope, not Steve, it's Alex. And we're going to turn mob spawning off, and we're going to kill the wither skeletons. And basically, fortress mobs specifically, are able to spawn inside the bounding box of what is called a nether fortress. In this case, this is the bounding box of this nether fortress. It's kind of big, depends on the size of the nether fortress. We're building it towards the top, so not going to be as much towards the top, but there's more down here, or more over here. And basically, fortress mobs are able to spawn inside any of these bounding boxes, and anywhere else inside the big bounding box, as of up until some later version, as long as you spawn on nether brick. I think. I'm not sure. And basically, each one of these things is a little bit different, so basically, these big modules right here are usually, like, big roads. These are like the road end, like the rickety ends. And then these things right here, like red ends. These big boxes right here are the crossroads. That area is like a, I don't remember what it's called. It's like a weird thing. And with the crossroad ends of it, that's a crossroad. Bridge. That's such. That right there is a blaze spawner. That is a bridge, and then it's the entrance inside of to the fortress, except there's not really a lot to the fortress, so it's just going to be that little bit right there. Sometimes it could vary for you guys. And then there's also some other bits and bobs about the fortress, but we don't really need those bits and bobs. We're only looking for crossroads. Once you've found a crossroad, try to see if there's another one around, because the more crossroads you have, the bigger ability you have to spawn more fortress mobs. Although this farm does work with only one crossroad. The next thing is about these bounding boxes. They all are different. They all are different. They all have, like, different bounding boxes. For example, this one is, I think, a 10 by 1. Some of these are, like, different. They're all different. Some of these are, like, 12 by 3. This is a bigger one. They're all different. And it doesn't really matter where you build the fortress farm. Just want to make sure that it is inside. Usually should be inside of a crossroad, because they're the biggest structures, and they will yield the most rates of mobs. So we are now on the top of the nether with a mod by Netbong called World Map, which is used in the Scarpet API, and we're looking at the actual bounding box of the fortress itself. This is what it looks like. And the next thing is about choosing the right location for your Wither skeleton farm. For example, these farms are best built inside a soul sand valley, so I suggest looking for soul sand valleys, because you'll have to do the least spawn proofing. You can also do it in like a warped forest, but you will need to do a little bit more spawn proofing. Don't build another Wasteland Crimson Forest. That's just the go. That's just the go by. So you need to look around for a little while. Try to find the best location. These farms, remember, are best built inside of soul sand valleys. So you'll just need to look around for a little bit. What is that? Lambda structure. Okay, we don't need to worry about that. I just need to look around until you finish to find yourself into good soul sand valley nether fortress. Alright, so I found a different now nether fortress inside once again of a soul sand valley, obviously. And we are now looking for once again these crossroads. And there are 2 of them, but they're separated by that. So once again, we haven't found the correct area. Look around a little bit. No, there's not. Doesn't look like there's a big area, but we can look over here. And over here, there's a crossroad there. No. So once again, this is not a very good place to build this farm in. So let's go check for another place. So I think I found a good sized nether fortress. Alright, yes, here we go. This is your average nether fortress. It looks a little bit like this. This is what it looks like. They're all a little bit different. They all have like different intersecting twines. They're all very different, and this is, once again, inside of a soul sand valley, so you shouldn't have any problems. This is a little bit bigger. Has a lot more structure, but if we were to hit our hotkey, as you can see, all these bounding boxes have like different things to attach to them. So that's the crossroad end. That's like the inside blaze spawner, bridge. And basically, there's like other stuff to go with it. There's a tower room too. I actually kind of like this fortress, but what you're looking for is this, the crossroad. Which seems to be interfering somewhat into that. Now, this is not the best place to build it, because there's not really a lot of extra room to build around. You want to look for something a little bit easier. So, once again, this is not a good idea. Although, I just realized there are 2 crossroads right next to each other. This is not the best location for it. I have once again found, another new location, and once again, we are searching around the crossroad. There we go. We found ourselves now what is called a double crossroad. So now, we will go into the center of this, right here. Because we're using the mod Community HUD, we're going to look for this shape right here. We're going to add shape, look at the despawn sphere. We're going to set that right there, and then we'll do my hotkey. Yeah. And we're now going to look around to see if this is entirely inside of a soul sand valley. If that is, then we can presume that we can actually start making our farm. And based on the looks of it, yeah, it is. So this is a good place to make our nether fortress farm. So the next part of this project is probably the most time consuming, and it's to go around with and basically slabbing off all the extra area around this thing. But to make things easier to figure out where we actually need to root off, we're going to, once again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to basically remove all the area up to 8 blocks around the outside of the structure. We're going to do that first. So I now have our second position here. We're just going to use this command right here, which is going to cut out the entire sheet that we need. So this is an 8. So this is all the area that we will need to now make our nether fortress farm. what I'll suggest now is blocking off any lava patches that could be here. And basically, once I said this is 8 blocks out in every direction, up and down, and this is exactly what we actually are going to need to make this nether fortress farm. Now, the last thing you want to know is where this bottom layer is. We want to make sure that it is above these pillars here. And still, I would ask that you would slab this areas off with whatever you want to use. For example, this instance, I'm going to use pressure plates. But we'll talk about the spawning mechanic in a second. So the available types of stuff that we can use to spawn off areas is what we have today. We have the button, we have the pressure plate, we have the fence, we have a snow layer. Remember, a single snow layer, we have a slab, glass block, stairs, trapdoors, and fence gates. Now, all of these can be used to spawn off mechanics, but we'll tell about why one is the best. So first of all, when you're just splabbing off areas just like this, you can sometimes, yeah, you can do that. You have to go back and do it, and it'll just upset the rhythm. So we can just remove slabs from the area. The next thing we have here is the fence gates. But what's really annoying about the fence gates is that, yeah, it kind of messes up your rhythm a little bit. Although they are very good, except they are kind of expensive, so I also don't recommend using them. Our next thing up the list here is fences. They are also quite expensive, but they do block out spawning spaces. But once like I said, they are expensive, and I also don't suggest, I suggest against using them. The next thing is glass. Now, glass is actually not a bad idea. I used that to spawn off my original Wither skeleton farm, except it took a long time to do, although glass is very cheap, because you get 1 sand from 1 set. So glass is not a bad idea to use, but I still don't recommend using against it because it just doesn't look as cool. Our final option here are the stairs. You can use the stairs, you can definitely use the stairs, but sometimes you can do that. And I'm pretty sure that mobs can spawn on top of the top stairs, so once again I recommend against doing that. There's also snow, which could work, except snow can melt, so don't suggest against using that as well. So now we're left down to buttons, pressure plates, and trapdoors. Now, the thing with buttons is that they are really easy to do, although they do sometimes, you can just, it kind of can upset your rhythm, although they are kind of expensive, kind of similar to the fence gates. I don't recommend using them. Trapdoors, you can use trapdoors as well, but they are expensive. But there are the stone heavy-weighted pressure plates. Well, pressure plates in general. These are actually not bad objects to, slabbing mechanics to work with. They are actually quite cheap because it's 2 iron ingots, and if you have a massive iron farm like I do on, like I own a share on the Novacraft server, then you should use pressure plates. But if you're running low on materials, use buttons or glass or trapdoors. Those are what I suggest using. Glass, buttons, trapdoors, or pressure plates. Alright, so now once you figure out what you want to use for it, you basically want to slab off any part of the nether fortress that is inside the 128 block sphere. So we'll go around, and I'll do that right now, and I'll come back to you guys in a bit. And also one quick reminder, if you ever come to the top of these things, you can see that they are in bounds, and they will in fact spawn fortress mobs, so you want to make sure you slab up the top of these like inner buildings as well, otherwise you will definitely get fortress mobs. You don't need to spawn those areas, just need to spawn where there's a 2-eye gap, because blazes can spawn. Hey folks, welcome back. I have gone around and looked for literally every possible spawning area, especially in these little tight spots, and I think, yeah, right here. Boop. There you go. So I think now we have taken over every single possible spawning space inside this nether fortress. And we once again have this area right here, which our farm is going to be built in. So what I would suggest now is to clear out the entire area all the way down to lava level. Alright, so I just did that real quickly with the world edit wand. Now what I want to do is want to make sure this entire area has lava on it. There's a reason why. Because remember back in the old world, we used striders, and they actually eliminate all the Soul Sand Valley mobs that could spawn. Or you can also just do instead of just grab yourself a bunch of lava buckets and just mass spam lava buckets everywhere. that'll also get your job done. And what you want to do is just bring a bunch of striders in this area. I would suggest about 40 of them. And that will basically stop any spawns in the entire Soul Sand Valley to make sure all the spawns go into our farm. Alright, so we have a bunch of striders in here. And what we're basically going to do is we're just going to sit on this block. And we're just going to spawn in Alex for a little bit. Just take a look. And we'll set game roll, do mob spawning. Ha! Spawning. So we'll set it to true. And we'll take a look. See if there's any other fortress mobs. We'll go into spectator mode and we'll turn on hitboxes. So that's the approximate center area of our farm. Probably turn that off, and we can probably see the other thing on. As you can see, there are no mobs. And if we can do spawn mob caps 2. There are wait, I heard it. Aha! Yes. We forgot a place. This is why we did that. I want to make sure you have every area down. Alright, so now we run spawn webcaps again. Still 2. There's still 2 hostile mobs somewhere. Yep. Right there. Like I said, you need to make sure you have every single spot clogged on, because you will definitely have some spawns, even if they're not inside the nether fortress. Spawn proof everything. Alright. Let's see now. We'll run spawn webcaps again. 3. There are now 3 mobs. Up over there. Ah, yep. So you see these areas right here. Sometimes I don't know why, but mobs can spawn it. It might be a glitch. I don't know. Want to make sure you remove the nether wart of these rooms, otherwise mobs will spawn there as well. Alright, there we go. There we go, everyone. We now have no mobs, we'll start work on the farm. Basically, what I do is want to build it block by block. So the first platform will be just above the little boundary box here, and they'll be 3 blocks high, tall, and platform like that. And basically, yeah, you have now finished up your wither skeleton farm. I know it's not here. I'm kind of being cheap. There's a blaze. There's a blaze. Where is it? Where's that blaze? I don't know. You'll have to figure it out depending on where your location is. But I think I've run out of time for today. This has a long video because it's a lot to talk about with fortress mobs. The other fortress farms are not easy, but it's been a long video to me today, guys. If you guys like this video, leave it a like, really, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And share this video with your friends. Use it in your own videos. You guys free to use this farm. And thank you guys for watching. Roll down in the description. Bye-bye.